you do that? How did you do that?
Welcome back everyone to another ESO build video. Today is going to be the update to the Infused DK build. This is the advanced Dragonknight build for my channel. This is my main, and previously this was known as the non-infused build for a couple of patches due to some trait changes, but he has gone back to his roots, so he is back to the original name of the Infused Dragonknight. And this is a very advanced setup. This is how I use this particular character. This is my own personal setup, and this is going to be a little different to most build videos. Most of them I go over the skills in very, very vivid detail, explaining every single in and out of them and all the passives and all that good stuff, so you fully understand how to make the character from scratch. However, with this being advanced, I expect you to already know a really decent amount about the DK already. If you do not, I would highly recommend that you go to the Murder of Fire build, because that will help you along the way. It's very, very effective. It's a very powerful build, and I do explain everything so new players can get into it quite quickly. This, on the other hand, this is way, way into it. So if you want to go that extra mile with the Dragonknight, this one is for you. If not, the other video is probably safer for you. So, I am going to go over the skills, but they're not going to be in massive detail. But the one thing that I will explain above all is application, as far as your damage is concerned, about how to survive, how to do your damage, and how to keep your up times up. This is very, very important indeed. So, first of all, we're going to go into the stats. Potion first. Where's my potion? Potion, buff. We are sitting on 9.7k magicka, but that's not that important anyway. 18k health, 35.6k max stamina. That can actually go to 36 if you have the perfected version of one of the sets I'm using. 64.9% crit, 3.5k weapon damage, which actually goes up to about 4k with our glyph. And we're sitting on quite low resists, but you can slot a resist buff if you want. 64 points into max stamina, so boost it all the way into stamina. Minus Slayer, of course, from one of our sets. We're using a Thief Munderstone, and we are a stage 4 vampire with max health, max stamina, food. No recovery food, none of that stuff. And yes, we are always a stage 4 vampire. All content, I'm a stage 4 vampire. So whenever people tell you that you can't, they are wrong, because I'm already doing it. Now, I'm actually going to do the gear first. I don't do that in this order normally, but because we're not going to over-explain the skills, and I do have to explain some of them a specific way, I'm going to do the gear first. Now, we're using a Maelstrom dual wield, dagger and axe, same as the original setup 2 years ago, both infused. Now, this will give us a poison damage glyph on the front bar. Of course, we can fire this every 3 seconds, roughly. It will do damage, it can crit, and all that good stuff. If you have an AoE ability of a weapon skill line on your bar, for example, you're using Deadly Cloak, this, when you swap bars, will still fire when your damage is being applied, as long as the cooldown has obviously met its period or time period where it's allowed to fire again. But if you're using a single target damage over time ability, it will not. It'll only fire on the initial. Glyphs will fire guaranteed off of your light attack, your heavy attack, or your weapon abilities so long as they are ready. But area of effect weapon abilities will continuously fire when you swap bars. So if you're using Deadly Cloak, for example, this will continue to fire. If you're using Volley on the back bar, your weapon on the back will continuously fire. If you put on Blood Craze, it will hit off the initial, it will hit off your light and heavy attacks, but when you swap bar, that dot is still running, but it won't fire your glyph. So just bear that in mind. Now, the reason we're using the Maelstrom weapons is because when we use a Flurry ability, which we're using Bloodthirst, when we finish the ability, we'll get a buff for 10 seconds, or an effect, if you like. And our next single target damage over time ability will have an increased 2003 spell and weapon damage applied to it, so it's stronger. So we need to use Flurry, then a single target dot. Flurry, then a single target dot on purpose, and that will become much, much clearer when I get to rotation. Now, the Maelstrom bow is on the back bar. That's infused also with deliberate using a physical damage and restore stamina glyph. This is very, very important. This, again, can also fire once every 3 seconds, as long as you've got Volley active or Endless Hail, which we're going to get to in the skills in a moment. Now, as long as you do that, every 3 seconds you will get 461 stamina back, alongside your passives as well, which is really, really powerful. And, of course, if you need to heavy attack, then this will also contribute as well. So our sustain is actually really, really good. Not to mention, of course, in Murkmire, stamina for the DK is much, much easier to manage because of poison abilities being reduced in cost. It's very, very effective. So you need Maelstrom weapons on the front bar, Maelstrom bow on the back as well, of course. Axe and dagger on purpose because we want the bleed from the axe. Yes, I know lots of people are going to scream at me saying daggers, daggers, daggers. Trust me, after as long as I've used this, I have tried both. And for this particular setup, 1 dagger and 1 axe has always outperformed. Now, we are using the two-fanged set as the 5-piece. And obviously, as you can see, we are not using a monster set. We're using 2 Maelstrom weapons, so we can't slot 5 and 5 plus the monster set. We can slot 5 and 5 plus the Maelstrom. And because all of our damage is raw, based on our rotation and our sets, we don't actually need a monster set. This is very different to what you may have seen out there already, unless you've already seen this particular build. Now, we're using 2 Fang Snake in 5 pieces and Reliquin in the other 5. If you've got Perfected, then obviously you're going to get an extra 1k stamina out of it, but you can use the basic version if you want, and you can get it from normal trials. Now, 2 Fang Snake gives you a weapon damage bonus, a stamina bonus, a weapon crit bonus, and when you deal damage, your physical penetration is increased by 860 for 3 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. As long as you consistently do damage once every 3 seconds, this will keep stacking up to 5, and it will stay with you. And that's 4,300 physical penetration just for keeping this up time. It's really, really powerful. You need to keep this up all the time. Reliquin, on the other hand, is a little different. It says crit chance, minor slayer increase in all your damage done in dungeons and trials, and of course, crit damage, crit chance again. Your light and heavy attacks, however, apply a stack of wins. Every time you do a light attack within 1 second of each other, you will stack up another spinning wind effect, if you like, and they stack up to 20 times. Every single one stack will increase its overall damage every 1 second of damage. But if you drop it for 5 seconds, it will fall off. You have to wait a second before it can be reapplied again, and you lose all of your damage bonuses. So this is basically what it looks like. You can see here that it will fire little whirlwind effect, and it will continuously do damage every second for 5 seconds. Every time I hit again with a light attack, it starts again, but it adds an additional stack. You can see I've got 5 stacks now 6, 7, 8, 9, and it goes all the way up to 20. Every time you see that cooldown, as long as you reapply a light or heavy attack, the 5-second timer will start again, and you can keep it up 100% of the time. But if you're inside mechanics and such, and you move out and you forget to light attack, oops, it ran out. Your massive stack and damage bonus there just ran away. You may as well not even wear it. So what you need to do is be aware of 5 seconds all the time. Always a light or a heavy every 5 seconds. And if you're in mechanics, switch to your bow bar, fire off a light attack just to keep it running while you're coming back in again, and it will continuously fire. You have to be aware of this timer. Get a mental note in your head to keep this up. If you cannot keep it up, and I would highly recommend this as well, in some situations, you may be in lots of different mechanics. You might not be able to keep on top of it, or you might have an abundance of synergies. If you do have more than 3 synergies, on average, running all the time, 3 minimum, between 3 and 8, depending on what sort of trial situation you're in, then don't go Reliquins, because Alkosh will outperform. 100%. Reliquin is incredibly powerful for single target, yes it is, but Alkosh is very, very strong. You got the same crit bonus on the first bonus. You got minor slayer, again, exactly the same. Instead of an extra crit bonus, we've actually got more weapon damage, which is higher flat, and when you activate a synergy, you send a shockwave from your position in front of you. It's very, very clear, by the way, in front of you. You do physical damage to start with for every single target hit. You'll add a 17k damage over time effect to every target hit for 10 seconds. You'll reduce their physical and spell resistance of all of the enemies hit by 3010 for 10 seconds as well. Note, every single synergy does not add a further 3010 physical and spell penetration debuff. It doesn't add that. It just refreshes it. But every single dot that you do receive, every synergy you do take, will add an additional dot. So the 17k dot over 10 seconds you can see there, it's not once and then you take a synergy and then it restarts it. It stacks. So if you take 3 synergies, you've got 3 dots. If you take 8 synergies, you've got 8 dots, and they're an area of effect as well. This is very, very, very powerful. It is an advanced set. Most people seem to think it belongs on a tank. If you can use it on a tank, then sure, go for it. You're going to get like 1 or 2 synergies, but you'll have a debuff that you wouldn't normally have. But on a DPS, this dramatically improves your DPS and other people's as well, combined. You're not wearing a set that lessens your effectability. It doesn't lessen your ability to give damage output and all the rest of it. This applies a debuff at the same time as improving your damage. It is very, very strong. Most people can't actually use it for one of 2 reasons. 1, they don't fully understand it, so they can't get the proc to aim in the direction they want to. And 2, they've been told by everybody else, don't do it because it sucks. Bollocks, it doesn't suck. This is a very, very strong set. It was intended for a DPS, and if you can use it effectively in a situation where you have between 3 and 8 synergies actively at all times, this will outperform Reliquin. Now, 3 synergies. You're talking spears or bubbles, a purify, and a conduit, a liquid lightning. That's all you need. 3 synergies. If you have 2, sure, it's going to help, but you're going to have a gap. You're going to have a downtime. But if you've got 3 minimum all the time, you're going to beat the cooldowns and you'll be fine. Now, every single synergy in the game has its own individual cooldown. As you can see, this buff and debuff or damage over time lasts 10 seconds. But if you take a spear or bubble, they're on the same cooldown. You take one, that's a 10-second dot firing right now. You're on a 20-second cooldown for that ability. You pick up a Purify, that's another dot. You're on a 20-second cooldown for that ability. You pick up a Blood Funnel, you pick up a Bone Shield, you pick up an Impale, you pick up Conduit. Any of those, every single one is on its own 20-second cooldown. By the time you've taken 5 to 6 synergies, your first one is usually back up again based on how you're positioned in the fight. So you can constantly keep this debuff uptime and you can constantly keep that stack and dot flowing throughout the fight. It's really, really, really powerful. Your tank doesn't need to squish down now because you've got that uptime covered, plus the amount of damage you put out is disgusting. Also, bear in mind, by the way, those stamina DPSs up front, if there are actively 3 synergies or more running at all times and everyone's capable of getting them. For example, there's maybe a couple liquid lightnings in there and there's 2 staminas, that's 1 each. Maybe there's spears throwing left, right and center and a load of bubbles, that's 1 each as well. There's a purified down, that's 1 each. There's a blood funnel running, that's another 1 each. Both of you have got 4 synergies each and you're bouncing off each other's cooldowns. If you've both got that many coming in and out, then you should both be wearing this. You both contribute to the uptime of the debuff, and you both contribute to a shit ton of damage in AoE as well. It's very, very strong. Okay, now I'm going to go over the skills, and I'm going to explain where everything is and why. Now, the passives themselves and how things are unlocked and all that good stuff is actually in the Murder of Fire video. This is an advanced setup. Again, I would expect people who are coming here for this particular build to already understand all that. That is a bit of a disclaimer. I always explain everything in detail, but this should already be knowledge that you have acquired elsewhere for this particular build. If you are nowhere near this, you haven't ever played a Dragonknight before, you should be on the other video, not this one. So, skills, of course, are very, very important. We're using Venom Claw, Beast Trap, Flames of Oblivion, Bloodthirst, and Blood Craze. The reason we've got these 2 morphs instead of Rapid Strike and Rend and Slashes is because this one will provide you with a heal as long as the last ability or the last hit connects. And also this will heal you every 2 seconds as well. As a Dragonknight, we're quite squishy unless we're firing ultimates left, right and center. And we don't have any way to heal us apart from resolving Vigor, which is on our back bar. Always take Vigor, by the way. Now, Bloodthirst, as long as we're doing our rotation correctly, will actually heal us every time we cast this ability. And on our front bar rotation, we actually apply this 3 times. So we're constantly getting heals. With Rapid Strikes, you're going to get about 500 more damage over a full Skeleton's kill. Maybe 1k if you're lucky. It's not even worth it. This will keep you alive. In situations where I've been almost dead, in fact, 0% health on a VMOL clear once before on the last boss. I hit 0.0% health and this actually saved me. It's very, very strong indeed. The damage output is just fine and the heal is very, very helpful. Also, when it comes to stack and phases, for example, first boss in VMOL, shield stack and phase. Perhaps one of your healers has just gone down. This will actually keep you up for a bit. It's very, very helpful. And in AA as well, on Execute, when the big Nova type sun ability is flying above the mage's head and you're taking damage every second, this will also help you as well. It's really, really strong. So I know a lot of people will shout about how you should get more damage, blah, 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 blah. For that sake of 1k extra damage, which is minimal, you are going to die. So a dead DPS is no DPS. These are insane, especially in Maelstrom as well if you're into that kind of stuff. Now, Dawnbreaker's on the front bar. It's our oh shit button. We don't really use this unless we're really, really low on resources, and if you understand the Earth and Heart passives, that will make more sense to you. But basically, if you're really short and you're going to die, fire it. If you're not, don't bother. But while slotted, 5% increase to weapon damage, alongside the 3% from the Fighters Guild passive, and another 3% from here as well. Both of these abilities need to be on your front bar. I've seen many, many people putting Beast Trap on the back bar and not on the front. If you do that, you're going to lose 3% weapon damage increase and lose overall damage. Don't do that. This belongs on the front bar. Your back bar, we don't need any Fighters Guild abilities because we haven't got room for them, but I would always recommend slotting Resolve and Vigor. Every single situation I've ever been in, dungeons or trials, has always warranted some form of extra heal, so Vigor is really, really helpful, not just for you, but for other people as well, so definitely have this. Molten Armaments, this is very, very important. If you are familiar with your DK passives, as you should be if you come into an advanced video, you need to understand that Molten Armaments is an Earth and Heart ability which procs all of the passives. So, if you activate this, you will get 990 stamina back. If you activate this, you will do what it does as a skill, increasing your heavy attack damage and increasing your major sorcery bonus for you and 5 others. And you will also grant minor brutality, giving everyone around you, yourself and 5 other people, an increased 10% weapon damage as well. So physical damage dealers around you, anyone that is stamina built will benefit from this bonus. So it's really, really strong. And if they're not built for minor brutality usage if they're not built for physical and they're built for magic instead. Of course, you are buffing them with major sorcery. It's very, very important. This is really, really, really strong skill. Don't just put it on every 40 seconds or so like it says. Reapply it every 20 if you can. So what I do with that is it's not 100% uptime, but it's not far off. Every second rotation, you must fire this. Endless Hail has to be down all the time, as you know, because we're using a Maelstrom bow, and the damage that pumps out from volley is already strong, let alone with that weapon. The weapon is incredible, and the longer this is running, obviously, the better, because it stacks bonuses as far as damage is concerned, but don't let it run out for more than a second. If it does, you're going to miss out on two things. One, your extra damage. Obviously, you need to keep your dots up. And two, if you don't have volley running, your back bar glyph, your stamina absorb glyph, will not fire while you're on in front. It will constantly fire as long as you're on the front bar, as long as this dot is running. If it runs out, you lose your proc. Keep this up. The banner is used all the time, but make sure, of course, that you get your damage down first. If you just drop a banner on the floor for no reason whatsoever other than you can, and then start putting dots down, as far as efficiency is concerned, you just wrecked your damage. You just destroyed it. What you need to do is make sure that loads of damage over time abilities are running first, you've got a decent rotation running, and then while it's stacking up, while the dots are ticking, while your damage is down already, then you pop a banner, and then you continue with your rotation. It's much, much more effective, it's much, much more efficient, and as well as your sustain as well. If you run in with full stamina and drop a banner, how many resources did you just get back from your Earth and Heart passive? Nothing. You just wasted it. So what you need to do is get way into the swing of it first, get your dots down, get your damage down, and then pop the banner. You'll get your sustain back, you'll get a massive damage boost, and everything that's already running will improve. It's very important to put that down after you've already got damage applied. Now, why have I done skills after gear instead of the other way around? Well, because, first of all, you should understand these skills already, with it being an advanced video, but secondly, because the skills that we're using do rely on our weapons to make them work. Now, as you can see, of course, I've already briefly explained that you need to use Flurry first before your next single target damage over time ability. Why is that? 2003 extra weapon damage. So if I put the glyph on with some potions, you can see that our poison damage over time is actually a 25k dot instead of what would normally be, hang on, let's get minor brutality up as well, 26.8k instead of a 17k dot. That's massive. Also, our Blood Flurry, Blood Craze even, and our Beast Trap are all affected by it. So you can see here it does 12.9k. But if we put our bonuses on, Flurry first, hit second, that's 20k bleed. That's disgusting. So every single target dot ability we do needs to have Flurry first. Now we've got 3 on the front bar: Blood Craze, Venom Claw, and Beast Trap. So Flurry, Venom Claw, Flurry, Blood First, Flurry, whatever it is you're doing in between, and Beast Trap. If you fire any other abilities that are not single target damage over time during your 10-second timer from Flurry onwards, it will not consume the buff itself. So if we proc it here, you can see in my buffs at the bottom there is a countdown from 10, and you can see the Flurry symbol. It's in brown instead of blue because I have a different morph of it, but you can see it's counting down. If I apply other abilities, even caltrops, it won't take it away. But if I apply a single target dot, it will. So you can do other stuff in between. Even if you've hit this and for some reason you've had to swap bars, say for example you're against Reliquin and you've got the lightning thing, you can actually fire this and you can still keep the bonus. But of course in that situation, fire a poison injection instead, because it's the only single target damage over time you've got, and you can boost it a little bit. Now, what you need to do here, of course, is make sure that this is all part of your rotation. And the way that we do that is we always put a light attack or a heavy attack between our skills, otherwise you're going to run out of resources and you're going to lose a lot of damage as far as your lights and heavies are concerned. So you would light attack, Flurry, light attack, Venom Claw, light attack, Flurry, light attack, Blood Craze, light attack, Flurry, light attack, Inferno, we've still got the bonus, light attack, Beast Trap, it takes it, swap. Volley, light poison, light caltrops, swap again. Repeat. Light, Blood First, light Venom, light Blood First, light Blood Craze, light Blood First, light Flames of Oblivion, light Beast Trap, swap bars. Now every second rotation, Endless Hail, light attack, poison injection, light attack, molten armaments, light attack, caltrop, swap. The reason we use molten armaments every 2 rotations instead of every 4, because it does last almost 40 seconds, is because of our minor brutality bonus that we get. We have a 10% increase to our weapon damage in our passives for Earth and Heart, which means us and 5 other people can receive that bonus. If you don't keep this bonus up, obviously your damage will go down, so keep that up all the time. Now, if you are caught short, or if you're in a situation where you don't have many synergies or much sustain as far as other people in the group are concerned, instead of light attacking between everything, you can occasionally turn that light attack into a heavy attack. Depends on the situation. And sometimes you might want to do a full heavy attack rotation. You'll still have a decent uptime on all your dots and bonuses, so you won't struggle. But of course, you will drop overall damage a small amount by about half a K, maybe 1K in total, but nothing major. Now, just to consider, by the way, also this does give you stamina back, so if you're in trouble, you can pop this a couple of times, but be careful when you're using Flames of Living, because your magic will struggle unless you're getting loads of synergies. And of course, if you do heavy attack, most stamina builds, if they have to heavy, will still do damage, but they'll lose a little bit because they're not weaving with lights. But for us, because we have the 40% increase, this actually gives us quite a nasty boost to our damage. So it's not a negative to heavy attack occasionally on the Dragonknight, as long as you keep your molten armaments up. Now, as far as CPs are concerned, we've got our penetration pretty much on point. But I'm going to get to that when we get to the blue trees. First of all, these do change depending on what trial situation you are in, what content you're up against, and all that good stuff. But 72 points into Ironclad to reduce the incoming damage from direct damage by 23%. These two here, 64 points into each to level out the incoming mitigation to damage from all types as far as their damage type is concerned. So physical, poison, disease, frost, shock, flame, magic, all that good stuff. They're exactly the same across the board. And of course, dot reduction as well. We're on 19% here, which contribute to these as well if they are of those equivalent damage types. The only thing that doesn't affect is obviously Oblivion. Unchained is a very, very overlooked passive, by the way. If you do break free, and you will, your next stamina ability within 5 seconds will be 80% cheaper. This is when you want to throw out a Caltrops really quick and get stuck in with your most expensive skill and get it really, really cheap. So whatever rotation part you're into right now, if you break free, quickly switch bars, throw a Caltrops down, and then carry on. 19 points in a quick recovery. You will be taking heals from yourself, from your own skills, which do contribute to this passive, and you will also be taking heals from other people, which also contributes to this passive. So any heals that you receive in any way, shape, or form are boosted. Plus, because we've got 10 points in this tree, we have Field Physician, and if we resurrect people, we take 15% less damage while doing so. Little tip for this: if you're going to resurrect someone, pop a Vigor first, then res them, because you want to make sure you get those tick heals while you're doing so. 44 points into Warlord to reduce the cost of break free. 75 Tenacity, 75 Mooncalf, because any more points into here will require you to use a full 25 points to get the 1%. It's not worth it, so only go to 75. 76 in Tumbling. I do dodge roll quite a bit, and obviously that's our main resource pool as well. So we want to make sure we get the cost down as much as possible, otherwise we can't actually do any damage because we've got no juice left. So 72 is all you need in here, but because the Treasure Hunter passive is here, I just put the rest of the points in because they can't really be used anywhere else. So we've got this as well, so we get better loot. Nothing in here, it's not viable for us, we don't need it. I mean, you can of course improve Blessed if you really want to, but for this particular build we're going as flat damage as possible while healing off of our own abilities. We don't really need to boost it in passives in here because we're going to waste them in our flat damage. 28 points into Master at Arms, meaning all of our direct damage that we do is improved, including our light attacks, our heavy attacks, and our Flames of Oblivion, and some of our other skills as well have a direct attack initially before the dots go off, so this is quite a nice boost there. And Physical Weapons Expert as well to improve furthermore our light and heavy attacks. 72 points in Thaumaturgy because we are using a shit ton of damage over time, even our Reliquin procs and our Alkosh procs are damage over time as well, so they are improved. Precise Strikes, meaning that we actually boost the amount of damage we do when we crit, and we will crit quite a lot, especially with almost 65% crit chance. And we put 41 points into Pearson and 64 points into Mighty. Take advantage of this, by the way. If things are off balance, you will do more damage to them, so keep an eye on that. And if you are low on resources, do a heavy attack during an off balance period if you know what to look for. That way you can get much more sustain back. Now, the 41 points into Pearson here. If you look at the physical penetration bonus we have here, it is 3442, which puts us obviously at 3442 to start with. Then we've got 4,300 from the Two Fang Snake set. We have 5,280 from physical penetration bonuses from Major Fracture from a tank when they're taunted, as long as they're using Pierce Armor, which they should be. We have 3,010 from Alkosh, which also stacks on top, so a physical penetration bonus there as well. That is relevant whether we're wearing Alkosh or not. If someone else is wearing it, it's a 3010. If we're wearing it, it's 3010. So that will put us just over 16k. If we have an Infused Crusher in the group as well, so long as they can keep the bloody uptimes on it, because a lot of people can't, that will put us to about 18.1k physical penetration. Now, of course, if they're using Infused Crusher with Turok's Pact, that a lot of people are using, we can drop a little bit because we'll go over cap. And if they're applying Minor Fracture as well, 1320, we will also go slightly over. However, going slightly over is not necessarily a bad thing. One, because you can apply extra damage in area of effect where you wouldn't do normally, because the Crusher enchants do not proc on multiple targets. They are single targets, so that will close the gap. But if you are going to be really, really anal about it and you want to make sure you hit it on the nose only for the one single target you're hitting, and you want to sacrifice that area of effect damage a little bit, then of course to drop this down. But this is absolutely perfect where it is. Now, how does this all make sense? You need to make sure that you keep your two-fang buff up all the time. As you can see in my bottom right-hand corner there, or the buffs and debuffs, you can see that there is a sword with a brown background and a nice little spark sticking out of it. That is two-fang snake. So long as you do damage once every 3 seconds, that will stay with you forever. As you can see, Reliquin is running right now, and that is actually proccing it by itself. Any dots that you've got running will keep that up. So that's not a problem to keep up, but make sure you do. Don't just do no damage. You've got to keep your damage up. You must keep a light attack up every 5 seconds, or a heavy attack once every 5 seconds on either bar. If you're in and out of mechanics and you've got to run around, stop panicking, follow the mechanics, and keep a light attack up once every 5 seconds while you come back in, and you won't lose it. Alkosh, on the other hand, anytime you take a synergy, you must be facing the direction you want to face. A nice brown dust cloud will come out from where your feet are in area of effect in front of you. It's got massive range. It's somewhere around 10 meters or so. It's quite far, and every single enemy hit will take it. So if you're facing this way and you've spun yourself around for God knows what reason, and you think your camera's going to work if you take a synergy this way, it's not. It's in front of you. Whatever way your character is physically facing when you take that synergy is where it's going to fire. So for example, if there is a liquid lightning right over here in the center of that volley, and it's nowhere near me, I can't take a synergy from here, I need to run over to it and take it while aiming at the boss. It's no good me running over here and taking it and looking into the corner. I see a lot of tanks do this as well. They look a different direction while taking synergies. Face the target. It's not area of effect around you, it's area of effect in front of you. Now, any additional skills that you are required? Yes, of course, we're a stage 4 vampire. You want to make sure that you have this recovery bonus and undeath bonus as well, because the amount of damage you take under 50% is ridiculously low the lower you get. It's really, really good for your survivability. And of course, we are an Imperial. The reason we're Imperial is because we have the increased max health, so we're not completely squishy for wearing 7 medium. And we increase our max stamina by 10%, which is the highest bonus in the game alongside the Red Guard. And of course, your melee attacks have a 10% chance to restore 6% of your max health. While doing our damage, our light and heavy attacks can actually heal us. It's really, really strong. And that stacks with heal and receive bonuses as well. Now, alchemy, of course, you want to make sure you get medicinal use as soon as possible, because we are using crafted potions, and we do want to make sure they have their full duration. 47.6 seconds, and the cooldown is 45. So we can have 100% uptime on any bonuses we have on our pots, which, by the way, are Essence of Weapon Power, giving us major brutality, major savagery, and major endurance at all times. Now, the crit bonus we get, we do have already with Flames of Oblivion on our front bar, but we don't have it on the back bar, so this will close the gap. And if you choose to change Flames of Oblivion for Deadly Cloak or Steel Tornado, depending on the content you're in, this will still apply that bonus no matter what bars you're on. It's really, really helpful. Keep these potions with you at all times. I think I go for about 400 or 500 of these a day. It's absolutely ridiculous, but make sure you can get them. They're really, really useful. Okay, so hopefully that helped. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. And hopefully you now have a better understanding of how to approach this particular build. Remember, this is very advanced. It's going to take a hell of a lot of practice before you're up to the same sort of standard as the presentation in the video. But it is really, really strong if you stick to it. So, best of luck. Anyway, thank you all very, very much for watching. I hugely appreciate the support. And if you are not subscribed already, please do hit that button. It is free. Furthermore, if you want to help support outside of YouTube, there are some links in the description for Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, and of course the website XynodeGaming.com. And of course, there's a link for Twitch as well, where I live stream almost every day from 10 PM UK time onwards. Once again, thank you all very, very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.